All right. And for obvious reasons, no upskirt pictures.
What?
Actually, you're not the crazy guy who did that. I realized, oh, I can't just give any
I
guy
am the gentleman.
my camera. Because I had all these upshot pictures and I was wearing a short skirt. I was like, never again. I'm good. No, that wasn't Brian. That was another guy. That's why I trust Brian. That guy never showed up to the show again. Alrighty. So.
I'm not being any
Despite my newfound motivation to make more money, I have less motivation to put up with bullshit along the way. I refer to this phenomenon as the evolution of middle aging. Part of that evolution is waking up with mysterious pain that exists without any backstory of why it hurts other than the collection of nearly 5 decades of living. But that's another story. I see everybody who's near my age all laughing. Yes, great. At a certain point in life, and you'll know when you'll get there, you reach your burning the candle at both ends quota. And eventually it leads to being burnt out. It'll no longer be a temporary burnt out condition where a little vacation or a catnip, I say catnip, I meant catnap. Either one will permanently remedy that. All the hustling you're doing to make money, save the world, and everything in between, sewn up in the pursuit of happiness, turns into, I'll just let somebody else handle that. In the beginning of the Middle Ages, somewhere around your 40s, that quick turnaround of working like a dog during the day just to regroup and party all night long just fades out. There's an intermediate step where you power nap in between working and partying, which evolves into power napping after work with no intentions of going out afterwards. It's just a part of dessert. Black people refer to this as the itis, but that has such a negative connotation. I consider it part of work-life balance that people claim doesn't exist, but that's just a denial of, that denial of balance is just a measure of how toxic somebody's life is. Instead of partying until the wee hours of the morning and returning home looking like something the cat just dragged in, the wee hours will accurately describe your automatic wake-up time. But in my clubbing days, in college, I danced in clubs where you don't need a partner. It was so free, dancing in a group, out on the floor until near exhaustion. As often as I went out, I never had a problem with anyone until I was living outside the States. Sidebar. There was a time in college when one of my friends pinched me and gave me the stink eye because she mistook my talkative nature with flirting with a guy that she liked. But she later forgave me when she discovered that he was actually gay. So, after graduation, I went straight into Peace Corps to teach biology and math at an all-girls high school in Tanzania, which is part of East Africa for those geographically challenged. Now, we Peace Corps trainees had 2.5 months of training before we set out on our final destinations where we'd serve. For those of us who were fresh out of college, it was like college 2.0. Some trainees were drinking pretty much every day, but I, on the other hand, was a good little Southern Baptist girl. I would have loved to drink some sweet iced tea like Mom used to make when I was growing up, but Tanzanian tea wasn't quite the same. So I ended up drinking more sodas than I ever had in life and ever since. A group of us Peace Corps trainees would go out dancing some weekends. To say that the DJ played an interesting mix would lead one to believe that there was actually a mix. It was more like a jumble of music without any flow from one song to the next. I'm not sure, but I think the club owners periodically turned off the ceiling fans just to make everyone hotter and motivated to buy drinks. Whatever the case. This one night, I had my requisite amount of sodas, had danced until my underwear was soggy, adrenaline was at an all-time high, And when a prostitute slinked by too slowly for my temperament, I pushed her aside and feigned a straight face as if I were just watching the dance floor. I saw her out of my peripheral vision, give a hard look at the group of us, then continue slinking by. Can't really say what had gotten into me. Wasn't the alcohol. Couldn't blame it on the boogie. The best I could describe it was that mistaken belief that nothing really bad could happen to me since I was on an extended vacation at that point. Even in middle school, where secondary hormones bring out the cattiness in young women, I'd never gotten into a fight. Not even after one of my best friends and I parted ways dramatically because she spread lies about me and just itched for a fight. I managed to take the high road and ignore her and her new best friend, who tried her damnedest to instigate a fight between us. I just talked my way out of it. I was always a bookish nerd, and I knew she could beat my ass because she didn't bother reading books. Fast forward 10 years from Tanzania to a club in Monterrey, Mexico. I was still a math and science teacher, but not with the Peace Corps. I was no longer living at the volunteer level, but the expat level. So, this next confrontation took place in a swanky club in a Tony part of town. This was the kind of club that played all the latest songs in English and Spanish with their accompanying videos stylishly playing out on screens around the interior. Again, I can't remember what triggered the other woman to start talking shit to me. I couldn't even hear what she was saying over the blaring music, but just the way she tossed her head from side to side and that internationally understood woman with the attitude, I knew she was talking shit. I stepped closer. "Okay, did he stay?" I asked too loudly. You see, at this point in time, I had been taking capoeira, a dancing Brazilian martial art, so I knew how to travel a surprisingly long distance in just one step. And I had very well-defined biceps. The kind of biceps that other straight women took notice of. "Desculpa," she responded with a smile and danced away. So I guess you could say I talked my way out of that one too, albeit aggressively. But those cat nights are over. When I venture out these days, I don't want a bunch of foolishness. Whatever I set out to do, even if it's a social event, I plan to accomplish the mission, return home, and that's that. Besides, people are crazy or on drugs. Did you just hear that? Those last two comments were brought to you by slowly turning into my mother. Yet another middle-aging phenomenon. After nearly 5 decades of listening to that line of reasoning to explain the bullshit of the world, I figure, why not? It'll be so much easier to file away bullshit in 2 neat little categories as I ride that wave into senior citizen land while eating dinner during lunchtime, going to bed at dinner time, and waking up at midnight to use the bathroom during party time. I didn't know how to end that